This is a recording of lesson 5.1, decimal notation and rounding. This lesson is taught as a part of Math 020 pre-algebra course at St. Louis Community College. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at four main objectives. We're going to review how to determine place value in decimal numbers. We will practice writing decimal numbers. We will convert decimal numbers to fractions, and we will finish this lesson with rounding decimal numbers. So let's start our lesson by reviewing what decimal numbers are. So far in this course, we have talked about whole numbers. We talked about the integers, which are whole numbers with positive and negative signs. And we talked about fractions. We're finishing up this course with the last type of numbers, decimals. So the decimal numbers will always have a whole part and a decimal part separated, and those two parts will be separated by a decimal point. When we look at decimal numbers, here are some of the examples of the decimal numbers. You have 0.1. That means it is 1/10 of a number, and then as a fraction, it's 1 out of 10. Apologize. So let's take a look at the place value for the decimal numbers. So we have a decimal point in the middle. To the left of decimal point, already familiar to us notation for the whole part of the number. You have your ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, and so forth. But now what we've seen the left side of this chart already in Unit 1. But the new part here is beyond the decimal point. So the first place, the first number beyond the decimal point is going to be in the tens place. Then we have the hundreds place, thousands, 10,000, 100,000s. So the only difference between the place names is in the spelling. You have the tens with the S for the whole numbers, and you have the tenths with the TH for the decimal place. Also notice that you do not have the ones place beyond the decimal point. As soon as you pass the decimal point, the next place value is going to be your tens place value. So let's practice with naming the place value of our decimals. So we have give the place in example 1. We're asked to give the place value of underlying digit in each of the following numbers. So you have 34.825. All right. If you need a reference to the chart at the beginning, here it is. All right. So you have the 34 in the whole part. Then you have the decimal point. You have the 8 in the tens place and 2 in the hundreds place. So I'm going to write hundreds. Okay. So in the next number, in part B, the underlying number is to the left of the decimal point. So it's part of the whole number. And the very first digit in the whole number is in the ones place. Okay. So in example 2, we're going to switch the gears. And here you are asked to circle the digit in the indicated place for each of the following numbers. So in part A, we're going to look for a number that is in the thousands place with a TH. That means I need to look on the decimal side. So I have the 3 in the tenths, 2 in the hundreds, and 1 in the thousands place. So circle the digit in the thousands place is your 1. The next one is asking for the 10,000s place. Again, it ends with a TH, so that means I need to go and look to the right side of the decimal place. So I have 100. The first is the tens, hundreds, thousands, and then the next one, the fourth place is the 10,000. So you have the 8 in there in the 10,000s place. All right, so some of the rules how to name your decimal numbers. You're going to start with naming the number to the left of the decimal point. That's going to be a whole part. For decimal number, you are going to write the word "and," indicating the decimal point. And then write the number part of the right of the decimal point as if it was a whole number. And finally, name the decimal place of the last digit. Okay, so start with the whole part, use "and" for the decimal point. Write the number part of your decimals as a whole number, and then indicate the very last place value, placement of the last digit. All right, so here we are. So you have 4.26. So you have 4 and, okay, so you get your 4 and, now I'm going to write 26. So 26. And the last place value of the 6 was the hundreds. So I'm going to use that. Hundreds. 4 and 26 hundredths. Okay. So the next one is negative 52. And, okay, so let's gonna write negative 52. So that's your 52. And that's your decimal point. And then I see 31. You have to name the number part. You don't need to, you can omit the 0. So 31. 31. And this place right here is 200 thousandths. So 31 thousandths. So that means when I write that out, I need to make sure that the 1 is going to be in the third digit place. So 0, 31. So we're going to switch gears and go backwards and write each of the following as a number in standard form. So we're going to read the description, and then we're going to write our decimal number. So you have 60,000, 25 and 400, 60,025, and 401 10,000ths. All right, so here and tells me that this is where my decimal point is going to be. I have 60,025. 60,025. Okay, let me do it a little bit better. So, and I have 60,025. Then I have my decimal point. Let me bring it down a little bit so it looks like a decimal point for this number. Now the next number is 401. Okay, so 401 would give me 1,000 10,000ths. So 401. If I write it just like this, 401, let's check the place value. Tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay, so if I just leave it like that, my 1 is, the last digit is in the thousands place, but I need 10,000, so I need one more place. So I'm going to drop the 0 in here, and now when I read my number and double check the place value, this place value is now 10 thousandths. All right, so write the number and then double check that you got the digit in the right place value. And if it's not, you might need to fill in with zeros between your decimal point and your decimal number part. All right, so let's look at the next one. Negative 9,009 thousandths. All right, so here's my and right here. Negative 9,000. So this one's fine. And then 9 thousandths. So the thousandths would be in the third place value after the decimal point. So 0, 0, 9. So I got the tens, hundreds, and thousands. And I have 9 of the thousandths. All right. So that was our first objective, was to look at the decimal place values. Objective number 2 was to write decimal numbers. And then now we're going to go with objective number 3, convert decimal number to a fraction or a mixed number. All right, so here's our steps. In step 1, we're going to look at the number to the left of the decimal point. Okay, if it's a 0, the decimal converts to a proper fraction. If it's not a 0, the decimal converts to a mixed number. So let's say if it's a 0, it would look like this, 0.25. And if it's not a 0, it's going to, so that would be 1.25. So those are your examples of what you could have. You can have a 0 for the whole part, or you can have a number for the whole part. So you're going to write the whole number because now you're going to have a mixed number. So you're going to keep the whole part. Determine the place value of the final digit, and then you're going to write the fraction. Numerator is the numbers to the right of the decimal point. Denominator is the place value corresponding to the final digit. Simplify the fraction if possible. So in our case, we're going to look at 1.25 as we read these rules. Okay, so we are given 1.25. So I have the whole part, so I'm going to leave it as 1. So if it's not a 0, write the whole number. I'm going to write the whole number. Now, the place value of the last digit is hundredths. Hundredths. So that means the denominator is going to be the place value corresponding to the final digit. So it's going to be 100. The place value was hundreds. The denominator is 100. And then all I need to do is put the numerical part, the 25, in the numerator, 25. So it's going to be 1.25 converts as a mixed number as into 1/25 over 100. And then the last step right here, simplify fraction if possible. 25 goes into 100 4 times, so we have 1 1/4. Okay, so that's how this process works. So let's go ahead and look at the example number 4, example 5, and write each decimal as a simplified fraction or a mixed number, right? So we're going to start with 1.9, right? So I have the whole part. I have the 9 as a decimal. After the decimal point, it's in the 10th place. So I'm going to put the 10 as the denominator and put my decimal value, numerical value of the decimal part in the numerator. So here's the next one, 4.2. Again, do not change your whole part. 4 stays as a 4. 2 is in the 10th place, so it's going to be over 10. Going to put 2 over 10. We know that 2 over 10 can be reduced. 2 goes into 2 ones and 5 times into 10. So it's the final answer is going to be 4 and 1 over 5. Okay. All right, so the next one is negative 0.45. So let's go ahead and look at the negative 0.45. So you have negative. You do not have a whole part, so you're just going to have a fraction part. So let's go ahead and put the fraction bar. 45 goes on top. And then the 5 is in the hundreds place, so we're going to put it over 100. So as you read the number, my best advice is to read your decimal number with the place value, and as soon as you get to the place value, that's your denominator. So you have negative 0.45 hundredths, we put it over 100. Okay, and then the last one is whole number part, so we have 15. Now you have 0, 65. You do not need to put the 0 in the numerator. You can just put only numerical parts. You do not need to write the 0 in there. But that will make a difference because 5 is in the thousands place, so it's going to be over 1,000. And then what we're going to do is we are going to simplify this fraction. Always with the fraction part, we always need to reduce it to lowest terms. Here 5 goes into 65 and 1,000, so you have 15. 5 goes into 65 13 times, and 200 into 1,000. So that is our final answer. We're also going to go and double check our answer too. So negative 45 over 100, that needs to be reduced as well. Again, we're going to reduce by 5, so that is going to be negative 9 over 10, 9 over 20. 9 over 20, and that's our final answer. Okay. When you compare decimal numbers, what you're going to do is you are going to compare the values. You will go digit by digit and see which one is larger, because right now when you look at 0.27 and 0.3, our natural inclination to say is 27 is greater than 3, but that's not quite true. So one thing that you can do is you can actually add the 0 here, so you have equal number decimal, equal number of digits after the decimal point. So then you can just see you don't need the 0, and you're looking at 2730, so 0.30 is the larger number. Okay. The next one, the larger number is going to be, these are two negative numbers, so the larger number is going to be closer to 0, so basically you're looking for the smaller numerical value. All right, so write down your 0, so now you have 3 digits after the decimal place. So you have 0, 0, you have 9, 9, and then you have 1, and you have a 0. So this one is going to be closer to 0, which is the larger number. The last part of this lecture is how to round the decimal. So again, we're going to start with a rule. It's very similar to what we had with what we used to do when we rounded whole numbers, with a slight modification. So in step 1, when you round the decimal, locate the given place value and mark it with an arrow. Underline the digit to the right of the given place. Is this digit greater than or equal to 5? If yes, add 1 to the digit in the given place value. If not, do not change the digit in the given place value. Step number 4, rewrite the number removing all digits to the right of the given place value. So this is our example. All right. So in this table, we are working with two numbers and we are given couple of, we're going to practice different ways of rounding it. So the first three are going to be the review of rounding whole numbers. So first we're going to do to the hundreds. That means to the hundreds place. So I have 349, 2395. So I am going to be rounding to this place. So find the place value, put the arrow there, then look at the number behind. The number to the right of it, the next number is not 5 or greater than 5. So that means a 3 does not change. There's no change needed. And I am replacing the rest of the digits to the left of the decimal point with zeros. So that means that 349.2395 to the nearest hundreds place, rounding up to 300. All right. So we're going to do the same. Next one is the tenths. Okay. So the tenths place is right here at a 4. The number after 4 is 9, so that means the 4 becomes a 5. So I have 3, 5, 0, and I do not need to worry about the decimal part anymore. Okay. And then we're going to do the ones. Okay. So the ones place value is right here at a 9. So then the digit next to 9 is, after 9 is 2. So I don't need to change the 9, so I'm going to go 349. Okay. Now things are getting a little bit more interesting. The tenths. Okay. So notice that when we did the hundreds and the tens, if we did not use the digits, we wrote in the zeros for the whole numbers. For the decimals, we do not need to do that. So let's go ahead and look at our decimals. We're going to round to the tens place. So first you find the tens place, which is a 2. Then you double check what the next digit, which is a 3. That means the 2 stays the same, no additional digit needed. So we have 349.2. We do not need to fill everything, all the rest of the decimal with zeros. We just lose them. We just drop them. All right. So to the hundreds, repeat the same process again. Hopefully it's getting a little bit easier now. So the hundreds is the 3 in the hundreds place. Because of the 9 behind the 3, 3 is now going to be 4. So I have 349.24 to the hundreds place and to the thousands place. Okay, so thousands place are right here. I do have 5, so that means this needs to be a 10. All right, but I can only put the 0 in there, and now I actually had to move it over, carry it over to the 3. So I got 349.24 to the thousands. Right. So I'm going to quickly go over the last example, and that is all for today. And we have the next lecture coming up. All right. So to the hundreds. All right. The hundreds would be right here, which is we don't have anything there. So, but because of the 7, 100 to the hundreds. To the tens, you would have 80. Okay. To the tens, and then to the ones, you will have 79. Okay. Now to the tens, nothing, 79. To the hundreds, 79. And to the thousands, which is right here, and you got a 6, here we have 79.00. Okay. That concludes our recording of this lecture. Have a great day.